What would you say to those who are just kind of overly critiquing the film at this point? You've worked so hard on it.
I'm getting on across the block here.
Is there a problem, people?
We were just discussing ideas of what to do with the new Prince Eric movie.
Numbers. The Minecraft movie made $60 million on Saturday. Snow White made 2.
Yeah. Weird.
What happens when the world's most powerful studio bets over $1 billion on the wrong star? You get chaos. Not just a bad box office result. We're talking internet backlash, animated shows launching savage attacks, and even the studio's own legends turning their backs. The center of this storm? Rachel Zegler, the actress chosen by Disney to lead the Snow White remake, a film that was supposed to usher in a new era, and instead triggered a cultural meltdown. And the wildest part? This wasn't just a case of a miscast or an underperforming film. No, this was a perfect storm where Disney's mistakes were thrown into the spotlight, with animated sitcoms like Family Guy and South Park ripping them apart. The powerhouses of TV satire and meme culture stepped into the fray, making it clear that Disney's obsession with woke reboots was becoming a punchline.
Where we can entertain responsibly, obviously we try to do that. We try to have a positive impact on the world. But the first thing we need to do is entertain.
It all started with Family Guy. The show took aim at Disney in a way that wasn't just funny, it was brutal. They didn't even need to mention Rachel Zegler's name directly. They didn't have to. In one scene, Peter Griffin is walking through Disneyland, looking confused. The punchline isn't in his confused expression, it's behind him. A roller coaster labeled Disney stock is plummeting into the ground. The message here is obvious. Family Guy wasn't just roasting Snow White, they were roasting Disney as a whole. And what's the punchline? Disney's empire is crashing, and their obsession with woke branding is largely to blame. But Family Guy wasn't done. Oh no. They really hit hard when Peter watches TV and sees a character and says, "Wow, that girl is hot." His friend quickly corrects him, "That's a boy." It happens again and again until Peter finally snaps and shouts,
"That's a guy.
That other guy's handsome.
That's a girl.
That cat is cute.
That's a dog.
What is everything?"
What is everything? This line quickly became a meme. Why? Because it speaks to how a lot of viewers are feeling right now. Hollywood, and especially Disney, has been force-feeding audiences with constant redefinitions, identity switches, and forced inclusivity, all while making sure the audience accepts it without question. The line "what is everything" isn't just a joke, it's a direct commentary on the confusion many people feel about the industry today. But just when you think Family Guy went too far, enter South Park. These guys took it to another level. In the Joining the Panderverse special, they introduced a version of Kathleen Kennedy, yes, the very Disney executive responsible for the company's recent reboots.
Anything about the patriarchy? Will you check under the bed and make sure there's no Disney executives under there?
I promise there's not.
I'm scared, Mom. Will you please just look and make sure Kathleen Kennedy isn't under my bed?
And gave her a magical object called the Pander Stone. Her job? To insert diverse women into every franchise, no matter how ridiculous it may seem. The episode unfolds in a bizarre multiverse where every classic character has been swapped out with a self-righteous, miserable, corporate-approved version of what Hollywood thinks people want. It's satire, but the reality it draws from is so on the nose that it's hard not to see the truth in it. And then came the line that set the internet on fire. South Park's version of Kathleen Kennedy throws her hands in the air and declares, "Put a chick in it and make her gay."
The new Prince Eric movie.
Put a chick in it, make her gay.
This single line, as ridiculous as it sounds, has become a viral shorthand for how people feel about Disney's recent slate of films. For many, Disney's diversity efforts have started to feel formulaic and hollow. It's no longer about creating meaningful stories with unique characters. It's about ticking boxes. And let's be honest, audiences aren't stupid. They can feel when something's forced. This is why the line stuck. Because it's not just a joke, it's a critique that resonates. But the blows didn't stop with cartoons. Even George Lucas, the godfather of Star Wars himself, got in on the act. During a panel, Lucas was caught on camera publicly criticizing Kathleen Kennedy and Disney's creative direction post-acquisition. The crowd laughed, but the laugh was different. It was one of those laughs that felt like the kind of uncomfortable chuckle you give when something you don't want to admit is true is said out loud. George Lucas, the man who built the Star Wars galaxy, was essentially telling Disney they had gotten it wrong. He was poking fun at the very direction they were heading. And at this point, Disney couldn't escape it. Even their own legends were turning against them. And in the midst of all this, Rachel Zegler, chosen to be the face of the Snow White remake.
I say, if I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed on.
Saying that audiences will always line up to see her no matter what she does.
Every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
You know what's interesting about all of this is that the only person waiting in line to see Snow White was Rachel Zegler.
She became the lightning rod for everything that had gone wrong with the film. Her casting was controversial from the start. The original Snow White was described, literally, as having skin as white as snow. So when Disney announced that a Latina actress would be playing the role, fans were divided. Many took issue with the casting, arguing that the studio was straying too far from the character's traditional description. But what happened next turned the fire into a blaze. Rachel didn't just defend her casting, she went on the attack. In multiple TikToks and interviews, she described the original Snow White as weird, outdated.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
And questioned the idea of the prince's role entirely. This was a pivotal moment. Fans of the original film felt like she was dissing something beloved in favor of modern politics. And that rubbed them the wrong way. Her comments were met with criticism from all sides. But instead of keeping a low profile, Rachel leaned into the drama, further alienating herself from fans. At one point, she even criticized the original film's fairy tale romance, calling the prince a red flag. Fans didn't know where to look. Here was an iconic character, one of the most famous princesses of all time, being stripped of everything that made her beloved, all in favor of a modern take that felt more like a statement than an adaptation. Their chance to prove they were still the kings of animation and live-action remakes. But in the end, it's only gotten worse. Snow White bombed. And now, Tangled is primed to be the next in line. If Disney can't get a grip, their next move won't be a sequel. It'll be a disaster. And let's not forget about the role social media played in all of this. In the age of TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, a celebrity's personal brand can be just as influential as the work they produce. Rachel Zegler's social media posts, controversial, combative, and politically charged, became a focal point of the conversation. It's not just about acting anymore. It's about who you are and what you represent. And for Disney, that's a problem. When the star of their latest billion-dollar remake becomes more famous for her opinions and drama than her talent, it spells trouble for the movie. For Disney, it's no longer just about the box office numbers. It's about the image. It's about trust. Now, the real question is, what happens next? What does Disney do when Family Guy and South Park have already taken their shots? When even the company's own iconic creators, like George Lucas, have distanced themselves? And when The Simpsons, yes, Disney's own property, is just waiting to deliver a devastating roast of its own? The moment The Simpsons gets involved, it will be more than just another joke. It'll be the final nail in the coffin. Because if even Disney's own properties are taking jabs, it's not about haters anymore. It's about legitimacy, trust, and the fact that Disney might just be losing the battle. Because once the trust is gone, no amount of reboots will bring it back.